You're a writer and an illustrator for middle grade and picture books and graphic novels. What drew you to writing and illustrating in the first place?
Um, just grew up in a house that had lots of books, had lots of opportunities to read and to be read to. Always had teachers who would read to us in primary school back in the day when, almost every teacher would read you a chapter after lunch every afternoon. Um, and oh, hello, Frankie. Sorry, my dog has just decided to join us. Hello. um, and we just had, I was at a school that was really encouraging about reading and about literacy, and had a library at the very center of the school. It was literally the center of the school, as well as being the metaphorical. And we were always allowed to write, and it was just part of the culture of the school. So I was very, really lucky growing up where I was, that it was always there. And then they introduced us to real authors and speakers who came. I grew up really close to the Literature Centre here in Fremantle in WA. So I got to see original artwork from Sean Tan when he was just starting out,
Wow.
as well as Terry Denton and um, just all sorts of Australian legends all had their illustrations up there. So I was just very blessed. I know that's, hashtag blessed. But I was really lucky. Yeah.
I guess having a school focused on reading and the love of reading, and also teachers who sort of instill that in their classes make a huge difference, who make adults who love reading still to
That's
this
it.
day. Yeah.
Exactly right. You'd know that from
Yeah,
your.
yeah, definitely. Every time after lunch, I'll read, depending on my class. I got a different class that I did last year, but every day after lunch, it was a story. And then
Yeah.
we would get into whatever else we were doing, but always a book
Yes.
after lunch.
But it helps the kids to calm down too. It's just a really great way to manage the kids at the end of the day.
Yeah. Otherwise, the kids are just not focused at all. No, it makes a huge difference.
It really does.
What was your inspiration for the robot and Gastronauts?
Well, Brobot was the first one. Uh, I just did some random sketches in my sketchbook, and that's where a lot of story ideas come from. The page had a girl who looked like she was an inventor, and she was wearing kind of a steampunk sort of outfit, and there was a baby who was a robot on the same page. And an editor, publisher at Walker at the time, Sarah Foster, who now works at Berkelo in Leichhardt. She suggested, what if you had a story with these two? What if she was inventing the baby brother? And I was like, oh, it's genius. Because then I'm an older sibling. I've got a younger brother, younger sister. And so I remember growing up what it was like to be that older sibling. You want everything to be just so, and you want to follow the rules, and younger siblings want to muck around and be naughty and all that stuff. So yeah, it was a pretty easy process after that to get the characters. But it took a long time to figure out that the story didn't want to be a picture book. It wanted to be a graphic novel, a little comic. And I'd always loved comics, but I'd never had the guts to try one. And as soon as I reworked the script and extended it and thought about in longer than 32 pages of a picture book, then it all fell into place.
Is your process for writing and illustrating your picture books completely different to your middle grade books when you're writing, even if it's not so much with the illustration based?
Um, you mean like graphic novels compared to picture books, sort of?
Yeah.
The,
And
the
then
process is
onto middle grades too.
sure. I've never had to write a middle grade yet. I've only illustrated them. So that process is probably the easiest. Someone else comes with the entire story, like Tim Harris, wonderful writer who did Toffle Towers that we did together. And so he'll come with the story and the idea, and there'll be ideas in the text already about the setting and about the characters. I'll just read through the text and copy out all the descriptions of setting and character that are in the whole book, and then I'll organize them all, and then I'll go, okay, these are all the things that the character is supposed to look like and how they behave. So that gives me a picture in my head of what they'll be like, and then I'll do all the sketches, send them back. That's easy. um, but then working on something yourself, I can work on a picture book on and off for 7 years until I feel like it's done and I feel like it's ready. It's probably actually only about 6 to 12 months worth of work, but it's spread over 7 years. Whereas a graphic novel, it takes 6 or 7 months, and you've usually only got about 6 months to do it. Um, you you've got a quick turnaround, and there's lots and lots on. A picture book is like a run, a fun run, and a graphic novel is like a marathon. Is the
How,
easiest analogy.
how long did it take you to write and illustrate Stelephant?
Stellarphant was about 7 years. Yeah, Stellarphant's just here. I started the very first sketch in 2014 and it came out in 2021. So it took a little while to figure out how the story was going to click. And a bunch of other books just got contracted in the meantime. But yeah, 7 years.
I love reading my classes, Stelephant. I'm more in the support unit, so reading Stelephant really hits home for me to read to the kids. And so you like doesn't matter what your ability is or anything, you guys can just shoot for whatever you would think yourself you can do. So I really
Oh,
love reading
awesome.
those books. started off the year always reading it.
Oh, good. I hope they enjoy it.
No, they do. They always and if I have it in the leave it in the classroom, they'll always go back and just pick it up and read it. So I
Oh,
love
that's awesome.
having it in the room. Did you have a favorite moment in the book Gastronauts to write and illustrate?
I think um, Baby Joe, who is the main character, Sally Tinker's little baby brother, he has a very explosive ending in the book. Um, metaphorically and literally. So yeah, that was probably the most fun because it just gets completely ridiculous. Real Looney Tunes sort of stuff, except much grosser. So yeah, that was fun. I won't tell people, and just in case they haven't read it yet.
Which of your characters do you relate to the most and why?
Um, I think, yeah, Sally Tinker, who's the main character. Oh, my other arm here. The main character in Brobot and Gastronauts, and also in Dungzilla and Chickensaurus, which are going to be out in color next year. You can see the covers down there. Oh. Um, yeah, she's one I've related to a lot more in the past. I think I've learned to be more chill as I've gotten older, since I first did books with Sally, but she's some of my best traits and some of my worst traits. Um, she's she's clever. She likes making stuff, but she can be a little bossy, and she can be a little overbearing at times. I think I'm more chill than that now. Maybe I was able to exercise some of those personality characteristics by putting them into someone else on the page. Um, Other than that, I mean, I've got a new book coming out in November with Scholastic, a new picture book called Happy Barry Capybara.
Oh,
And
that
it's
sounds
about,
really good.
yeah, it's
I
about
love
a,
capybaras.
yeah, I think everyone does at the moment. It's about a chill capybara who like nothing can bother him. And I'd love to be like him. But there's this little squirrel monkey called Harry who just wants to bother him just to see if he can, and just starts more and more outlandish plans to try and make him crack. And I think sometimes I can be more like Barry these days, the capybara. I can be more chill, but yeah, when I was younger, I was much more like the little squirrel monkey who was just a bit more uptight.
I can see myself, especially like the annoying part of everything. I love trying to annoy my sister, so I would definitely be.
Yeah.
I think that's always what you do with your siblings, though.
Yeah, I think it is. And if you're not the one doing the annoying, then you're being annoyed, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. How has writing and publishing books changed the way you see yourself?
I guess I just, yeah, was just talking about that, wasn't I? I hadn't even thought of it like that. I think you can't help but learn more about yourself with every book that you make, because every book is, I don't know, it's almost like a Horcrux, you're putting a bit of your soul out there. And whether you realize it or not, every character is a little bit like you.
Hmm.
And even the ones that you think could never be like you in a million years, like you invented them. Obviously, there's something, you know. So yeah, you can't help but learn more stuff about yourself, and certainly just you learn more about what things matter to you because they're the things you want to write stories about.
Are there any books or authors that inspired you to become a writer and illustrator?
Heaps, heaps. When I was a kid, when I was in primary school, absolutely adored Graham Base. Animalia and 11th Hour had just come out when I was in primary school, so I absolutely adore them both. But Jan Ormerod's books were early favorites of mine. Sunshine and Moonlight, these two wordless picture books she did, which were essentially basically comic books because
Mm.
they were divided into panels and just showed the morning and evening routines of this young kid. They were beautiful books and they came out the year I was born. So I had those when I was quite young, and no words meant I could read them myself. As well as that, Sean Tan, of course, because he grew up here in Perth as well, and all of his books have just been groundbreaking, boundary pushing, amazing stories showing that a picture book doesn't have to just be for kids. It can be
Yes,
for all
definitely.
ages. It can tackle all sorts of topics. And apart from that, his technical mastery of basically any artistic medium he puts forward, it just, makes him an absolute god in the arena. Um, and then comic strips like Asterix, the Asterix series, and Calvin and Hobbes as well by Bill Watterson. Huge influences on me as well.
I even today, like there's still the Astrid comic books in school libraries as well. And I can always see the kids going and reading, and I'm like, yeah, exactly what you need to
Good. I'm
enjoy.
glad because a lot of schools I go to and I mention them, and kids are like, huh, what's that? They all know Dog Man, they all know Cat
Yeah,
Kid, and they know, bad guys and stuff, but they have somehow missed out on Asterix, which is such a amazing series.
I
Some
guess
of it, bit dated politically, obviously, because it was made from the 60s and stuff. But the art and the silliness of the humor, the puns, the slapstick is so great.
I think that's what gets the kids, most of the boys as well, interested in reading and engaging in the books as well, because they won't really pick up the chapter books, but graphic novels that's all they reach for. I know.
Exactly. I mean, still, like if my bedside reading pile is full of novels, but then I'll just get a graphic novel and read it straight away. It won't go on the pile. So yeah,
Always a good graphic novel to get you out of like a reading slump, or it's like, oh no, I don't want to read.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
reading too much. What advice would you give to a writer working on their first book?
How old are they? Are they a kid? Are they an
Kid,
adult?
kid or adult?
I think just have fun. Like, don't worry about if you're spelling stuff right. Don't worry if your grammar is correct or not. Like, none of that stuff matters as much as it may seem when you're in English class at school. Of course, it's important to learn that stuff as much as you can, but you don't need it to be able to tell a good story.
Mm.
And same thing with drawing. You don't need to be drawing things absolutely photorealistically to be telling a good story visually. You can do that with stick figures and stuff. If your story is good enough, it doesn't really matter if you're the best writer or the best drawer in the world or whatever. Just have fun. That's really important because then you're going to do your best work if you're having fun. And every book you do is going to help you get a little bit better. Um, don't be afraid of stuffing things up because you can always edit it. You can always go back and change it and improve it. But you can't improve anything if you've just got a blank page. You've
Yes.
got to actually try putting something down first, and then you got something to work with.
Your first draft isn't always going, it's not the final draft. You
Oh,
got go so
exactly
many
right.
edits and everything to go through before you
Yeah,
get to finished product.
exactly. That's what the word first is there for. It's not meant to be the final product. It's meant to be just the first draft.
It's
And
like
the
a
first
brain
draft
dump.
is like throwing sand in a box. And then the second draft is making the sandcastle out of it. You just dump stuff in the first draft, get it all out, and then you can improve it.
Perfect advice.
Mm.
What's your favorite writing snack or drink if you have one?
Um, a cup of tea which goes cold because I forget it's there. I'm sure that's very common for a lot of authors. What else? I tend to forget about snacks. I tend to just sit there for hours and hours and hours, and I should actually be getting up more and stretching and getting more exercise. But when I have the chance, hummus, corn chips, too much chocolate, always an apple at morning tea. Bravo apples, delicious. Yeah,
You
that sort
can
of stuff.
never go wrong with a cup of tea and some chocolate in my
Exactly.
book. Do you play music when you write and illustrate? And if so, what's your favorite music?
I can have music playing in the background when I'm drawing, but I
Mhm.
can't when I'm writing. Unless it doesn't have any lyrics. If it's classical music or whatever, then it's fine. It's just that if there's words in the song, then the word part of my brain is activated and I can't be writing words while also listening to words. But if I'm drawing, it's just the visual part of my brain. That's fine. I can be singing along to a musical or an album or whatever and drawing, and I can concentrate just fine. So that's part of it. What have I been listening to lately? I'm not sure there's been anything super duper interesting. I've been listening to some Ray recently. I've been listening to some musicals like which ones? Matilda, Hamilton, of course, Groundhog Day, um, some other ones that I can't recommend for kids. They're a bit rude.
Yeah.
Um, anything that's got like a bit of blues, bit of jazz, bit of soul, that sort of stuff. Motown, love that.
Great, great. I always pick the musical theater songs just to listen to, rock
Yeah.
out along with them. Always catchy tunes.
Well, the good thing about it too is it's like you're listening to a story while you're working. So if I try to put a movie on in the background, it's I'm often going to get distracted. It's got to be a movie that I have seen a million times and I know it back to front. So I can't even I don't even have to look at it. I can just listen to it and know exactly what's happening, like Jurassic Park or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I do. I have something going on in the background. Typically a TV show that I've already seen multiple times. It's just background noise for me.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm like, what's going on?
Yeah. Or sometimes it's just I really can't be bothered sitting in the chair that day and I just need to have a movie on because then I feel like, oh, I'm kind of relaxing and not doing work.
Yeah,
Yeah. Just got to trick yourself into sitting down sometimes.
best of both worlds.
That's it.
And my final question is, who has been your biggest supporter in your writing and illustrating?
My biggest supporter. I've had a lot over the years. Lots of great teachers in primary school and high school. Lots of great publishers, lots of great other authors and illustrators who took me under their wing and helped me out. Too many to mention, but my wife, of course, would have to be the biggest supporter. She's a writer as well. Her name's Renee Hayward. She's been writing all sorts of stuff for a long time. She had a middle grade chapter book come out a good 10 or 11 years ago. Her day job took up more time. We got married, we had kids, they took up a lot of time. So she had to she had to take a little back seat in what she was really loving to do, while at the same time supporting me to do it, which was really hard for her. And now that the kids are older and they're spending more time at daycare and school and everything else, it just means that her brain is freer to help out,
Yeah,
not to help out, to write more stuff, to get some picture books published, and she's got more on the way, and to get back into the big novel stuff that she's loved writing for a long time. So yeah, that's been the biggest thing. It's tough when you become parents, because
yeah.
like we didn't want to do the old man goes to work, woman stays at home and looks after the kids thing because it's just so tired and it doesn't work for every couple. But our kids just really, really wanted their mum, and it was easier at the time when my career was starting to take off for me to do more to look after the family. So it was the way it went. And I'm just glad that it's got to a stage now where we as a family can go to a writing festival and Renee and I can both do gigs and the kids can come, and it's just we're in a different stage now, which is lovely.
Yes, and the writing festivals also have like the kids things that they can do as well. So if you're wanting to go off and have your own sort of look around, you can.
Exactly right. Yeah. So it's a different stage and we're having lots of fun. It's wonderful.